Okay, we'll look at this video from today's guild league. Since, I was piloting your character and then I just had my priest on auto follow. I didn't get the very start of it, but I mean, it's like what I said from the last game. You want to use Smoky card and then go in from the side and then drop 2 Storm Gusts deep onto their stack. And here we already wiped them at the mobs and then we're just pushing them back to the choke point. The thing that you're gonna have to start doing later on is kind of switching between casting Storm Gust and then casting Gravity Field. Mainly, I'm using Storm Gust here to just push them back because we just want to get them back to like right in front of the choke point area. So you're gonna just see me here just spamming Storm Gust mostly. You don't want to be pushed out too far because because champs are out now. If you go a little too far ahead, you will get punched. It should be okay just because we're the ones pushing them back. So eventually the rest of the stack will catch up with you and then you can just get rezzed. But definitely don't be pushed out too far by yourself. So mainly, yeah, you see I'm just casting Storm Gust, trying to zone them back, push them back. Typically what I usually do is like 1 or 2 Storm Gusts and then I'll drop a Gravity Field. And right here, I think, so your cast delay with Storm Gust is 1.6. You do have that Dimic core that has the Storm Gust. I think the level that you have is minus 1 second fixed cast. So that should probably bring it to about 1.6. I mean, I can test it later. It also, because it's a dual core as well, it also has the chanting barrier, which reduces the damage you take whenever you're casting. So using that on top of energy code, it's gonna reduce a lot of damage that you do end up taking. This game, I didn't switch out your Argreope card. So you're still using that. You can see the damage you're taking from is mainly from Gravity Field. So in future games, you need to, since you don't have Mark card right now, just switch that out for a Peko Peko for the, I think it's like 5% max HP. The main thing for that card though is to keep your armor element neutral. So that way Gravity Field does 30% less damage. And also you need to switch out your Garment card over to Marionette. For the, I think base card's minus 15% ghost damage. And then a 3-star awakened one is gonna be 20%. Mostly I'm gonna get those cards from the guild contribution shop. I think it's like 10k per week. I already got you one for this week. So in 7 more weeks, you'll have enough to make a 3-star. But you can see right here, we lowered our CP to, I think it's like I think yours I made it 160. I know your PvP points is only like, for defense, for damage reductions, only like 115 or something. It's very low. But you can see it's not really, their skills aren't really doing too much damage. And I think for your damage, your PvP damage, right, it's only like 215. So eventually, like against those stronger guilds, I don't think your gravity is gonna really get many kills or do much. They'll probably have to switch you over to, the CC build that I ran over on NA, which is just, Magnolia 3-star card and a Requiem 3-star card. Mostly just, put at least one Grabfield out and put some Quagmires and then just spam SG. I mean, here, we're just, we pushed over to the right choke because earlier, I think it was like a few minutes earlier, somewhere over here. All the defenders that were on here were actually a little pushed out too far and they all died. So let me see if I can find it. You see right here, most of these defenders are dead. And they actually shouldn't be pushed out here. They should just be kind of like in this area and just cast AoEs here. Definitely I need to, I needed to put more gravity fields. My main focus with this one was just, this getting SG and gravity fields out. Also, because I have my priest on auto follow, and I'm controlling both my tablet and my PC. I'm manually casting all of these sufferers, so that's also why I wasn't able to really focus on casting Quagmires. But definitely, keep your Quagmires up at the chokes. You'll see me sometimes I cast AoEs here just because, they position you over here and try to cast their AoEs. So occasionally you have to cast one over here, but other than that, most of them's going towards the choke. Kind of in this area where I don't know why they're just like walking straight forward into the AoEs. Because they could have gone from they could have gone from this angle, or they could have gone from the wall over here on the right side, but I don't know why they just go straight into the AoEs. But this is where, for cross server, right? This is where you're mostly going to be positioned. You don't have to go forward and push up. You just want to keep AoEs up in each choke point, so it makes it harder for them to push through. Also, I got you Gambitine. If you see their front line, you see Sync or Safety Wall or Numa, that's where you'll be dropping your Gambitine to remove those. I mean, I can talk about for like, say in WoW, right? So we're standard GVG, whether it's in a choke point or open field. Say we wipe their front line and then we're pushing into their stack. When we're pushing into their stack, what you need to do is, kind of similar to the start of the map on their side of the mobs, is you want to get instead of storm gusting right away on their back line, try to cast a Gambitine, because typically where their support line is, that's where they're gonna have sinks, they'll have safety walls, they'll have Numas. If you can Gambitine all of that, then a lot of the priests will lose their sustain and their protection that they get from SW and Numas. So, I mean, most of the video here is just, kind of. I slowly push them out because everybody else is just pushing out. They're not staying at the choke point. I think okay, we do get pushed back a little bit. Now you can see mainly using Storm Gust to try to keep them zoned out and prevent them from just pushing up, and then place a gravity field here and there. Gambitine, try to Gambitine anything they have on their front line. And I should be putting Quagmires, like I need Quagmires here and Quagmires over here on both sides of this tree. But I'm not really it's hard for me to focus on that because I'm also trying to focus on making sure my priest isn't too far forward, or he ends up taking damage as well. And I think so. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just trying to focus on being able to switch between Storm Gust to zone them back, and then putting your grav fields on them. Sometimes I think yeah, right here, as soon as you died, right, you see I pushed up and then I dropped a Storm Gust on them. Sometimes when you die, if you can, you see an opening where, okay, they're a little pushed up, it's easy for me to just walk forward after I'm rezzed and then drop a quick Storm Gust. I mean, you can do that with your gravity field too, but it's just because eventually cross server, your damage might not be enough to really do anything. It's better to just CC them. But for now, I mean, because we're still just fighting guilds on this server, they're not gonna be as strong. So you can just drop a gravity field instead of a storm gust. I'd prefer, like you saw me, I casted storm gust just because I prefer casting the CC first. Then all your damage isn't gonna be able to just like 1 or 2 tick them. Another reason why we shouldn't be like in this choke point area right here. You'll notice sometimes we get pulled in from an Earth Lord. And so they'll have their AoEs here. Say there's someone that's actually geared and their gravity fields do hurt. If we get pulled into those AoEs, we all might end up dying. That's probably what happened earlier when we rotated over. You saw all of those people dead. They probably got pulled in from an Earth Lord. Got sucked into the gravity field. Because that's the only damage that Dynasty 2 has right here is just the AoEs. Their single target does nothing. You'll see like later on there's like a ADL sniper just kind of tickling you. They have some elite players like Whitesmiths, LKs. I mean, they don't do anything. Not only that, I mean, because we have our AoEs here too. And if they're diving on you, at least you're on top of the AoEs, so they are taking damage. They're not gonna really last long. So most of the damage you have to worry about here is just the AoEs from Gravity Field. I was also spamming a lot of Storm Gusts on this area because they had one wizard here that was just spamming Storm Gusts as well. It's just unfortunate you don't have Mark Card right now. I mean, you don't really need it because I can just recovery, but you know, if say it's another player like me that just spams Storm Gust pretty much the whole time, you know, recovery's not going to be enough. You're going to just constantly be frozen. And then luckily they don't, you know, they're not running a Magnolia card because having a slow on top of that is really annoying and it's hard to get out of it. Especially if there's also Quag and Gravity Fields, because Quag, Gravity, and the Curse from Magnolia or from your Napalm Vulcan will pretty much root them in place because of all of the movement speed reductions. So it's kind of a like a root. They can clear it if they use Panacea, but I mean most people don't really use Panacea. I mean if you're on map 2, you're probably not really using like most people probably aren't really going to be using their consumables. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about for this video. It's mainly just you're now eventually gonna have to worry about doing more things in game. So switching between Storm Gust and Gravity Field, and then also being able to Gambitine stuff on the front line. It's mainly just going to be like it only works on support skills in this version. So it's only going to be like stuff like Sanks, Traps, Quagmires, Safety Wall, Numa. It doesn't remove the enemy AoEs. So don't try to use it to remove a Gravity Field because it's not going to do anything. It's only for support skills in this game. Also on your second bar, I don't know if I can find it, but I did get, you have like 3 points in elemental resist. So I mean, if you feel like there's a big push coming, you know, switch to it. It's right here where your energy code is. So all you gotta do is to switch bars and then it's right here. But use it if you feel like they're trying to make a big push. If you can see that they have a lot of Dunels, try to use it if they're pushing in. You do have Valk Shield, so I mean that kind of reduces some of the damage from a Dunel. Most people on map 2 probably aren't going to have like a tier, like above tier 5 Dunel, so I wouldn't worry too much about it, but you know, just get in the habit of looking for those pets, or if you see a push coming. Some of them do use Meteor Storm as well, so if we're pushing, if we have to get close to a choke point, or they're pushing into us, you know, some of them do use Meteor Storm. I mean, it didn't really hurt, but the stun from Meteor Storm is kind of annoying. But definitely, you know, whether we're pushing into a choke point or they're pushing into our choke point, you know, try to remember to use your elemental resist. It's not gonna be as effective right now just because there's, yeah, other than the null, really. That's pretty much the only damage it's really gonna reduce. Not many people are gonna be using fire damage. Not inside of like fighting through a choke point. And then also because champs are out now, you also need to, so say, you know, when you're defending along the wall over here, cast a safety wall on yourself. Because there should be a lot of safety walls in the stack. I mean, if I wasn't controlling your character and I was playing my priest, I had safety walls and Numas all around our stack. You know, not just you, but all of the wizards should be using safety wall in the front line. That way people have something to hide into just in case the champ tries to just dive in and punch somebody. I mean, I wouldn't do that if, you know, there's no point in them diving in our stack to punch someone just because, you know, that person will just get rezzed anyways, but just to avoid the death, just put safety walls. I mean, they also might have, maybe they might have a whitesmith dive in the front line like an idiot trying to either hammerfall or high cart ram or maybe cart revolution. You know, safety walls will help out for that. I don't really see a lot of LKs. I mean, honestly, like that's just like just a useless class. You can still safety wall, but I mean, they don't really do much. It's just champs and occasional whitesmiths. But definitely, you know, you didn't do it the previous game, but definitely get into the habit of having a safety wall on yourself, and then kind of just cast it whenever it's off cooldown as well. Kind of spread it out a bit. That way, if you know, if you have to move around, there's multiple safety walls for you to kind of move in and out of. So you're always going to be protected. That way, you know, if a champ wants to try to pick you off, they can't because there's like 5 safety walls for you to just stand in. So just get in the habit of, you know, next game, next week, you know, try to cast your safety walls. Get used to using your Gambitine and switching between Stormgust and Gravity Field. And then occasional, you know, we'll work on your timing for Elemental Resist. That should be it. There's nothing else to really point out in this video.